I've always loved the iPad. For years, it's pretty much been my laptop replacement, but I can't shake the feeling that it hasn't really been evolving. Don't get me wrong, the hardware has been truly exceptional, but despite that, due to its software, I haven't really felt the need to upgrade from my M1 iPad Pro. So when the M5 iPad Pro got announced, I was curious, could it be that I was missing out on something? After all, there had to be a reason why the iPad would need the world's fastest CPU. So to find out, I got an M5 iPad Pro, and for the past 2 weeks, I've been using it as my only computer. Some things have truly amazed me, but ultimately I wanted to know, does the M5 change anything in the way we use the iPad to justify buying one? The first thing that I noticed was how thin and noticeably lighter it was compared to my M1 iPad Pro. Though honestly that didn't end up making a huge difference in day-to-day since it's always in my backpack or on a keyboard case anyway, still, it feels nicer in the hand, and for those who use it bare naked, it's also easier on your wrist. Also, the display. The new OLED is instantly noticeable. It's just more saturated when it comes to colors. It feels almost glass-like, while the mini LED on the M1 iPad Pro feels matte and washed out, dare I say. Though I'm only saying this for the sake of the comparison, mind you, because the display on the M1 and M2 iPad Pro is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that the OLED is that much more colorful, and you're gonna notice it right out of the box. Having said that, let's talk about some actual use. One thing that I always disliked about the M1 iPad Pro was Face ID. It just wouldn't work half the time. However, on the M5 iPad Pro, Face ID is noticeably faster and works from way more angles with improved distance too. It really takes a lot of frustration out of daily use and genuinely saves a lot of time. AirDrop was another massive improvement. Whatever Apple did with the new C1X chip, it's leagues ahead in reliability and speed. Like, it actually just works now, especially paired with an iPhone 17. You can literally send huge files over AirDrop without it taking forever or dropping altogether mid-transfer. Speakers have also got a big upgrade. The M5 sounds much cleaner and wider. The audio feels like it's coming from the room around you, if that makes sense, rather than out of the iPad itself. Unlike with my M1 iPad Pro, which is still great, but not even half as immersive. It's wild how Apple made it thinner and yet improved sound quality somehow. Also the keyboard, by the way. It's not been improved or changed in any way, but I just wanted to point out how nice it is to type on. Unfortunately though, it's way too pricey. That's why I'd recommend the keyboard from ESR, our sponsor. Because not only does it cover the same functionality for much cheaper, but also adds quite a lot on top. Like, for example, the case that protects your iPad and improves the magnet strength in a way that makes your iPad a lot more versatile. Like, check this out. Also, contrary to Apple's keyboard, this one offers a lot more angles, from 20 degrees if you like to take notes or draw, all the way to 75. Or even use it in portrait view, and since it uses Bluetooth to pair, you can still use your keyboard with the iPad detached for better ergonomics. The trackpad is also bigger than on most keyboards I've tried. It's genuinely useful and easy to use because the clicks cover 100% of the trackpad area. And all the gestures you already know work exactly like on a Mac, which further makes it feel more like a laptop, especially with iPadOS 26. And somehow, it's also about 20% lighter than most keyboard cases, while also offering months-long battery life. With a backlight off, it's rated up to 195 days on the 13-inch model and about 160 on the smaller one. This thing is genuinely nuts, especially for the price, and you also get 2 places to store your Apple Pencil, so it's convenient while you're working and safe when you're taking it with you. But if you want to take it a step further and protect your display as well, ESR's got a ultra-fit Armor Eye protector, which is exceptionally easy to install. There's pretty much no skill required. All it takes is to put your iPad screen down inside the case, hold it firmly and pull the tab. That's how you get a dust and bubble-free install of a thin and durable screen protector. In fact, 7 times as durable as a generic one, so it's definitely worth it to give it a look. All the links will be down in the description, so don't be shy and check them out. Now back to the iPad. All of the quality of life updates are great, but what about the battery and the M5 chip itself? Well, battery life is overall kind of fine. Somehow it's not much better than my M1 iPad Pro. With regular use, it gets about 8 hours of screen on time and about 5 hours when editing video. But the real improvement is the faster charging that gets you 50% of battery life in just about 30 minutes. So you can use your iPad for a prolonged period of time, which makes up for the lack of great battery life. Performance, though, is where you really feel the new M5, and I'm not even talking about benchmarks, editing, and whatnot. When it comes down to just regular, everyday stuff, it's leagues ahead of the M1 iPad Pro. For example, what truly struck me was that despite both of these iPads having a 120Hz panel, only the M5 iPad Pro actually renders 120 frames each second, while the M1 iPad Pro barely renders what feels like about 70. See, I never really noticed how much the M1 iPad Pro has slowed down over the years. It only becomes obvious when you put it side by side with the newest iPad, and the difference is huge, especially with all the animations that iPadOS 26 has. And truth be told, a smoother UI is not a small improvement. It made me want to pick up the iPad more often. Previously, I'd strictly use my M1 iPad Pro just for work, and if I wanted to scroll or do something on the side, I'd grab my iPhone or walk over to my PC. It never dawned on me that it was because the M1 iPad Pro felt slow. However, the M5 iPad Pro is so fast at everything it does that it's just more convenient to do it on the iPad itself, rather than grabbing the iPhone even if it's at a hand's length away. Also, unlike the M1 iPad Pro that would get hot and start throttling, the M5 kept performing stable even after hours of photo and video editing. The increased 12GB of RAM on the base model was also noticeable. Apps pretty much never close, adding to that smooth, fast workflow feeling and making the iPad a lot more enjoyable to use, given that everything opens instantly. So, long story short, it's genuinely faster at everything. Because of that, I started using it more for literally everything like note-taking, doom scrolling, running my channel, editing videos, and so on. After a week, I genuinely didn't want to go back to my M1 iPad Pro because it just felt heavier, slower, and just older, while the M5 iPad Pro was inviting to work on. It felt like it can actually be an everyday computer now, though practical iPadOS limits unfortunately still apply. The reality is, no matter how fast it is, it's still, unfortunately, just an iPad. So it will have trouble reading your SSDs, connecting to devices, apps not behaving the way they should be, some apps you have to genuinely baby for them to work, because even a notification can trip the whole export. There is still no multi-video or audio stream support, and so on. Things like these make absolutely no sense given how fast and powerful the M5 is. It is for sure nice to scroll on and even edit, but what's even the point of the fastest CPU in the world if you're gonna go out of your way to actively limit my abilities to use it? And it doesn't help that it costs $2,500. For an iPad, I'm not even asking for macOS on this thing, just not to actively limit the user's ability, because I could literally go on for hours about the things that it limits you to do on purpose. And the things that it allows you to do, like emailing, browsing, watching content, and even editing videos in 4K, still work just fine on the M1 iPad Pro. The M5 for sure is a lot faster. It looks better, sounds better, and is generally more pleasing to use. But none of that changes the things that it can actually do. If Apple ever allowed just full-scale desktop apps, that already would be a game changer. But so far, the ceiling is still iPadOS. Don't get me wrong though, after 2 weeks I genuinely don't want to go back to my M1 iPad Pro. The M5 is objectively better, but I also can justify the price for what's essentially just an iPad. At the end of the day, the upgrades are rather nice than a must-have. So for me, at least for now, as nice as it is, it's going back to the Apple Store.